following is a sponsored program paid for by First Alliance Credit Union. Welcome to Good Money Moves, featuring Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
It's time for Good Money Moves. I'm Andy Brownell, and I'm with Jenna Taubel, AVP of Marketing with First Alliance Credit Union. Hi, Jenna.
Hey, Andy.
So last week, we talked about how to build your credit score using secured credit cards. What are we going to do this week on Good Money Moves?
Yeah, so we've talked about credit cards, I feel like, a few times in the last couple of weeks in some episodes in a couple different ways. So I thought it might be good to just take a step back and cover and dig deeper into a little bit of the terminology that comes with credit cards, because part of being able to make good money moves is being able to understand the language of money and what all of that actually means. You can't make decisions about something that doesn't make sense to you. So I just want to run through some key terminology when it comes to credit cards today.
So when you actually do read the fine print, you might actually have a shot at understanding what you're reading.
Exactly.
Okay, where do we start? And I bet there's going to be a lot of ground to cover.
There is a lot of ground to cover when it comes to credit cards. And so I think it's important that we start with the most basic information, and that is, what is a credit card anyway? Right? So a credit card is a type of loan that you use, right? When you use a credit card to pay for things, you're essentially borrowing money from a financial institution to make that purchase. And you do need to pay that back either all at once or over time, whatever you decide to do. All at once is usually best, because if you don't pay it off all at once, you're going to incur interest if you carry that balance from month to month. So again, it's just really crucial to understand that the money you spend on a credit card isn't technically yours. It's a loan from the credit card company, the credit union, wherever you're getting that card issued from, and you are expected to pay it back.
Yes, very important. I saw a great show on the History Channel about the history of credit cards and where it all came from. And it was, back in the 50s with the department stores. And it was a way, and it was a convenience strategy for shoppers to have this, and it revolutionized the banking industry.
It did.
Okay,
it really did.
So obviously, I have credit cards on my brain right now if I'm thinking about that program. And when I'm thinking credit cards, I'm thinking interest rates. What do we need to know about interest related terminology?
Yeah, so there's a few terms that get thrown around when it comes to credit card interest rates. And I think mostly of APR and daily periodic rate, right? And, at the highest level, interest rate is the percentage that you will pay to borrow money on your card. Where the term APR comes in, that actually stands for annual percentage rate. So this is the interest rate you'll pay if you carry a balance on your card from month to month. So I'm going to break it down with an example. So for example, let's say you have a credit card with an APR annual percentage rate of 20%, and you don't pay off that balance in full from one month to another. That means you're going to be charged interest on that remaining amount. So in this example, let's say you have a balance of $1,000 and again, that APR, that annual percentage rate, is 20%. So to calculate real quick, dirty math here, the monthly interest, you take that and you divide the APR by 12 months. So 20% APR divided by 12 is about 1.67 per month over the 12 months annual. So if you have a $1,000 balance, you're going to be paying approximately $16.70 in interest that month if you don't pay off any of that balance.
So if you just make interest maintenance payments, that's what the fee would be. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not paying off the principal at all.
Nope.
Okay, I'm probably getting ahead of myself for terminology, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you're setting this up good for conversation, though. So the other term that I mentioned is the daily periodic rate. And this is interest that can be calculated daily. And this is derived by dividing your APR, your annual percentage rate, by 365 days instead of that 12, that annual, right? So if your APR is 18%, your daily periodic rate would be like 0.0493, like 18% divided by 365, right?
Okay.
So this rate is used to calculate interest charges on your account for each day that you carry a balance. Now, different cards have different rates. They have some charge that daily periodic, some may just have the APR attached to them, right? This is where I tell you, you have to understand your fine print. So at the end of the day, the takeaway from all of this is, regardless of what they call it, this is the amount that percentage is the amount that you have to pay if you don't pay down your balance right away. And that interest piles up really quickly. So that's why it's so important, why we always say pay off your balance in full every month on your card, because this is the best way to avoid paying large amounts of interest and even avoid some extra charges that incur.
Yeah, when you start throwing around 20% and above.
Yeah, which is actually not unheard of right now.
No, not right now, that's for sure. All right, I'm following so far.
Okay.
But speaking of balances, maybe we should talk about payment information.
Yeah, yes. This information is very, very connected to your interest rate. So there are a couple terms related to your payment that you'll hear when anyone's talking about credit cards, or that you might see in the fine print of your credit card agreement. Credit limit, minimum payment, grace period. These are really common terms that sometimes people are like, what does that even mean? So we'll start at the top. Your credit limit is the maximum amount that you can borrow on your credit card. So for example, if your card has a $3,000 limit, you can't charge more than that amount. If you try to spend more than that, your card might be declined, or in some cases, your agreement might allow you to be hit with an over the limit fee. So for example, if you have a $3,000 limit and you try to buy something for $3,500, you might be able to make that purchase still, but you'll be charged a fee for it. And each card, some cards allow it, some cards don't. Some cards charge a flat fee for that. Some cards charge a percentage of the purchase. So again, you just need to look at what your credit card statement actually says. But if over the limit is not allowed, then that transaction would just be declined. So this is why it's so important to keep track of your spending to avoid these potential fees. Now, that was kind of an extreme example. I think most people, if you know your limit's $3,000, you're not going to try to put $3,500 on it. But this is where like those little payments start to add up. And if you are using your credit card excessively, you might accidentally go over, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not keeping close eye. So
yeah, if you're using it to pay off all these everyday things, and then all of a sudden you go and buy airline tickets, you could get yourself in trouble that way.
Yes. Yeah, it's easy to do. So that's why it's important to understand how that works. Now, the other part that we have talked about previously on this show many times is minimum payment. Your minimum payment is the smallest amount you must pay each month to keep your credit card account in good standing. It's usually, again, depends on the card issuer and the terms of agreement that you signed up for with that card, but it's usually anywhere between 1% and 3% of your total balance, or sometimes it's even a fixed amount like $25 or potentially whichever is greater.
Okay.
So for example, if you have, again, going back, if you have $1,000 balance, your minimum payment might be around $25 to $30. And this is why if you only make that minimum payment, that's not really helping you pay off that balance. You're going to cover maybe the interest rate and maybe a teeny tiny bit of that balance, but you're not really making a dent in it. You're not making a quick dent in it because paying just that minimum really is potentially only keeping you from getting hit with late fees, and it keeps your account in good standing. But again, you're paying a lot of interest over time by making those minimum payments. So it really is best to pay off your balance in full each month.
Yeah, I did that with my first credit card to buy. I think I've told you that story. I've got a credit card. So I went and bought a set of tools because I got, hey, the minimum payment is whatever it was, $20. I can afford this. Well, 5 years later, I still owed the same amount I owed when I started.
Yeah.
Not a good move.
It's a tough cycle to get out of, for sure. Now, I think the next one that I think gets people a little bit confused is that grace period. So this is the time between the end of your billing cycle and the date your payment is due. So if you pay your full balance within this period, you're not going to be charged interest for new purchases. So for example, if your billing cycle ends on the 15th of the month and your payment is due on the 10th of the month, you have about 25 days to pay off that balance interest free.
Yep.
So again, this is where look at your terms and conditions read that fine print because it's going to be different for every card. So this is, another thing, like if you make a big purchase right after your billing cycle ends, you have almost a full month to pay it off without interest. So it's crucial to pay off that balance within the grace period to, again, avoid those interest charges. It's saving you money over time.
Absolutely. We should probably take a break. We're talking about the terminology you need to know if you are dealing with credit cards to make good money moves, at least. And we'll return in a moment on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves continues in moments with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We're talking good money moves with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good money moves on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Jenna Taubel with First Alliance Credit Union is here. I'm Andy Brownell, and we have been talking about the lexicon, the terminology of credit cards. The fine print. So we talked about payments. We talked about interest rates, how they're calculated, minimum payments, all that business. What about fees? Is there any terms that I need to know when they're referring to the fees that I might have to pay?
Yeah. So I think that two major ones come to mind that I think people really need to understand if they're dealing with credit cards. So annual fees and cash advances. So some credit cards, not all, charge an annual fee just for the luxury of having the card. So this fee can range from anywhere from like $25 a year up to several $100s a year, depending on the type of card and some of the benefits and perks that card is supposed to give you. So for example, like a basic credit card might have like no annual fee at all, while a card with lots of perks like travel, rewards, cash back, all this stuff, they might have a fee of like $95 a year. So something to think about if you don't use your card all that much, or you don't, it's kind of used as more of a backup option for you. You don't really have a purpose for it other than a backup, or you're just going to use it here and there. Definitely look for a card that does not have an annual fee with it, because if you're not taking advantage of the perks that are supposed to come with that card for paying that annual fee, there are many no annual fee card options out there. First Alliance has 3 options for you. So there's definitely a better choice if you want something to save yourself a couple bucks a year.
Well, those perks better be pretty nice at $95 a year, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you would hope so.
But those are a lot of times I see that, and I don't have these cards, are the prestige cards, right?
Yeah, oftentimes. Yep, they're travel rewards cards. A lot of times they'll come with annual fees. Those they're very specialized and very geared towards specific people. So the other one that I think people really need to understand, and a lot of people get into trouble with this because they don't really realize this, is that cash advance fee. And a cash advance is when you use your card to withdraw cash from like an ATM, or maybe you walk into the credit union to like pull cash using your credit card, right? So this is usually a very expensive way to get cash. This is why I'm going to tell you, just don't do it. Find another way, because cash advances come with really high fees, and cash advance transactions typically are hit with a different APR than your regular purchases. Read your fine print. I guarantee you, if you have a credit card and you don't know what your cash advance fee is or the interest rate charged on those, it is probably different than your actual APR. So again, pay close attention here. So for example, let's just say you might have to pay like a 5% fee on the amount that you withdraw. And then that interest could start accruing immediately at an APR of like 25% instead of 20, or even more in some cases. So it is a feature of cards to make that cash advance, but it is a very expensive way to get cash.
I suppose from the lender's point of view, if you're using your credit card to gain access to cash, that might be an indicator that you're a bit of a risk.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, here and there, sometimes, I forgot my debit card.
Oh,
but
sure,
I need
it's an
cash
emergency
to get into
or
this.
something.
There's things that happen, but if you're repeatedly doing this, that's not a good way to use your card.
And ouch.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of surprise you want to get if you were not aware of that. That's for sure.
No.
Your $100 withdrawal was $105 right off the bat. And then if you don't get it paid off right away, it's going to be $130.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah. Okay. Obviously something to avoid if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about the fun side? If there is a fun side, the reward cards.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of alluded to those a little bit just a moment ago. So I think a few common rewards cards terms that you should be familiar with if you're looking at rewards cards or you have one is cashback and points. So cashback and points are like the types of rewards that you can typically get with rewards credit card offers. So with cashback, you basically earn a percentage back on your purchases as cash. So for example, a card might offer 1.5% cash back on all purchases. You hear that a lot. So basically, if you spend $100, you get $1.50 back. And it doesn't, it adds up, especially if you're using your card a lot.
I know, but when you put it that way, it seems kind of, all right.
Yeah. Now, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the credit card company is going to send you a paper check or cash app you or something like that. Like it's cash that sits in your account, and then typically you can apply that to your credit card to pay off your balance in most cases.
Right.
Now, points are very similar, right? You earn points that you can then redeem for things like travel, gift cards, or like other random rewards of your choosing in most cases. So for example, let's say you might earn 1 point per dollar spent. So 10,000 points, let's say over several months or a year or two, or however much you're using your card, you've spent $10,000 overall. So you have 10,000 points. You might be able to redeem that for $100 gift card. So
10,000 sounds a lot better.
Yeah, well, $100 is $100. So
yeah.
But the catch with these rewards cards often comes with a higher APR rate, a higher interest rate, like we talked about early in the show. And then sometimes, mentioned this earlier too, they will have annual fees. So this is something to pay attention to with rewards cards. Yes, you get these really cool perks like the cashback and the points and things like that, but pay attention to those interest rates and those annual fees that might be attached to that. Now, if you carry a balance, that interest charge might start to outweigh the rewards. And in some cases, depending on the card, you might not even earn rewards if you carry a balance month to month. So if you're going to be using a rewards card, definitely make sure that you're paying your balance off in full each month to get the full benefit of having that rewards card.
That's pretty much the only way to make it really work, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the reward is nowhere near enough to make it worthwhile if you're not paying it off.
No, I mean, 20% on $10,000 is not it's more than $100 gift card for sure.
All right. We're talking about terminology used when dealing with credit cards. And that knowing that terminology should allow you to make good money moves. And we'll continue in just a moment with Jenna Taubel with First Alliance Credit Union on News Talk 1340. KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good Money Moves continues in moments with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We're talking good money moves with Andy Brownell and Jenna Taubel from First Alliance Credit Union on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. Good money moves. The topic this week, terminology that we all need to know to make good money moves, especially when we're dealing with credit cards. Mm-hmm. And, well, I guess before we wrap up, are there any other terms that come to mind that we should probably know about?
Yeah, so two of them come to mind that we haven't quite touched on yet. And one is credit utilization, which we did touch on in last week's episode, but I think is really important to reiterate because it's just such a key part of managing your credit card responsibly. But then also pre-screened credit card offers that we all get in the mail all the time. So first things first, credit utilization. This is the percentage of your credit limit that you're using at any given time, and it's calculated by dividing your total balance that you have on your card by your total credit limit that we talked about that word earlier in the show. So if, for example, if you have a $1,000 balance, you've spent $1,000 sitting on your card and your credit limit is $5,000, your credit utilization is 20%. The goal to help really maintain a good credit score in relation to your credit card usage is to keep that credit utilization around 30%. This is generally recommended. Obviously, people kind of spend more some months, spend less other months, so that 30% is kind of that average you want to try to maintain so that you're not relying on credit, you're not overutilizing that, because if you max out a card, if you spend $5,000 out of a $5,000 credit limit and you don't pay that down within that grace period that we talked about earlier in the show, that's not going to look good on your credit report. They're going to be like, whoa, they're maxed out, they're using a ton of credit, they're not leaving themselves very much room. It's not a healthy usage of credit.
If I pay it off in full every month, does that utilization rate mean anything?
No, because what is being reported...
I'm not using the credit.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
It's that balance that's being carried.
Okay.
Right. So the pre-screened credit card offers was that other word that I use. So again, these are those offers that we all receive in the mail or get in our inboxes all of the time because the credit card company says, hey, we like you. We've pre-selected you to apply for our credit card because you meet certain criteria from your credit report. So we think our card's the best. So here, have this card. Apply today, right? That's the kind of stuff that you're seeing. So let's say, you have a really good credit score. You might receive an offer for a credit card with really, really favorable terms. And sometimes some of the ones that come with those annual fees and those special perks. And if you maybe have a lower score, you may not receive quite as many of the credit card offers, or you might receive some that maybe come with a little bit higher rates, those type of things. So these offers can seem really convenient, and a lot of times they'll kind of dangle a carrot in front of you like, oh, if you sign up today, we'll give you this special interest rate or a 0% interest rate for so many months and things like that. But that's where it's really important that you, before you say yes to anything like that, that you really read the fine print using the terminology that we just talked about today to better understand what it is they're actually offering you and whether or not it's actually going to be of benefit to you. And please, please, please don't accept every pre-screened credit card offer that comes in the mail. You do not need 5 credit cards, maybe 2.
That might not bode well for you, right?
Yeah, that is not a good money move.
Especially if you're not paying attention and each one of these has a fee that you end up paying for not even using it.
Exactly.
That would be bad. Okay. We've covered a lot of ground here today, but I imagine that there's a whole bunch of stuff out there as far as terminology and credit rates and interest rates and everything else. Any final tips?
Yeah, I would, just remember credit cards are tools. They can be really helpful when they're used responsibly, but they can also lead to a lot of unmanageable debt if you aren't using them responsibly. So that's where, again, read the fine print, understand what you're signing up for, do your absolute best to pay off your balance in full each and every month. And if you ever feel overwhelmed with how you've managed your credit cards, please don't hesitate to seek advice and come in and, talk to the advisors at First Alliance Credit Union, right? We talk to people all day long about how to manage cards, get out of debt, help them figure out solutions to move forward if that's the boat that you're in.
That's what I love about First Alliance, that's part of the mission.
It is.
And always good information. If I want to find out more, where can I go, Jenna?
Yes, as always, I encourage our listeners to visit our website, firstalliancecu.com. Subscribe to our blog. We release new financial tips and advice there every single week. You can listen to past episodes of this show at firstalliancecu.com/podcast or on krocnews.com. You can also subscribe to Good Money Moves on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, and Spotify. And as always, I encourage you again to reach out to our team at First Alliance Credit Union. We are here to help you start making good money moves today.
That is First Alliance Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. Jenna, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
And we'll do this again next week. We'll have more good money moves on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.